Ladies, you can have the flowers, you can have the candlelit dinners, the sweet words, and the grand gestures, but none of it matters not truly if this one feeling is missing. And men, if you're listening, know this. It's not your wallet, it's not your charm, it's not even your looks. It's how you make her feel consistently, deeply, securely, because at the core of every strong, feminine heart is one unshakable truth. Women crave emotional safety. Let's talk about it. There's a reason why a woman can be surrounded by people, adored for her beauty, praised for her talents, and still feel utterly alone. It's because deep down, what she truly longs for is not to be admired, but to be seen. Not in a superficial sense, not for her curves, her smile, or the way she carries herself in a room, but truly seen beneath the surface, beyond the makeup, past the performance she puts on for the world. There is a sacred kind of seeing that a woman craves, the kind that feels like home, the kind that says, "I see who you really are, and I'm not going anywhere." Too often, women are reduced to checklists: beauty, kindness, ambition, femininity. Boxes to be ticked, features to be observed, but what many fail to realize is that this surface-level attention, though flattering, never fills the space in her heart that's aching to be known, because being looked at is passive. It requires no depth, it requires no effort, but being seen, that requires presence, that requires stillness, that requires you to pay attention to what she doesn't say out loud, to the way her energy shifts when she's overwhelmed, to the spark that dims in her eyes when she's pretending to be okay. A woman can dress up for you, smile for you, perform strength for you, and still feel invisible if you don't take the time to connect with the parts of her that are hidden. She notices when you look through her instead of into her. She notices when your compliments are recycled, generic, or rooted in the physical alone. She notices when your attention fades once the excitement wears off. And in those moments, she pulls back, not because she wants to, but because something inside her whispers, "He doesn't really see me. He sees a version of me he wants, but not who I truly am." Jessica Opare often says that a woman doesn't just want to be wanted, she wants to be understood. When she opens up about her dreams, her childhood, her fears, her flaws, those are invitations, invitations to witness her truth. And if you don't recognize those moments for what they are, if you're too quick to brush past them or redirect the conversation, she starts to wonder if she's even safe revealing those parts of herself with you. Because when a woman feels seen, truly seen, she softens, she lets her guard down, she shows you the messy, magical, multidimensional human she is. But she only does that when she feels that who she is beyond the surface is enough for you. She doesn't want to compete with a fantasy. She wants to be loved in her reality, in the quiet moments when she's not trying to impress, not trying to be perfect, not trying to be anything other than herself. And it's in those moments, in that rawness, that she's hoping someone is paying attention. There's a quiet kind of pain that comes from speaking and not being heard. A woman can share her thoughts, her emotions, her stories, and still walk away feeling like her words fell into a void. And it's not because the other person wasn't physically present or didn't respond. It's because listening and hearing are two very different things. You can hear the sound of someone's voice and still miss the entire message. For a woman, being truly heard means feeling that her voice carries weight, that her words matter, that someone isn't just waiting for her to finish so they can talk, but is fully engaged in understanding what she's trying to express. You see, when a woman speaks, she's not just relaying information. She's revealing layers. She's giving clues about what matters to her, what hurts her, what excites her, what scares her. Sometimes her words are guarded, wrapped in metaphors or casual tones, because she's testing whether it's safe to go deeper. Other times, she's raw, unfiltered, pouring from a place that took everything in her to open. And in those moments, if the man in front of her is distracted, dismissive, or trying to skip ahead to the solution, she feels it. She notices, she always notices, because she's not just talking to be heard. She's talking to be asterisk felt asterisk. Jessica Opare often says that women connect through emotion, not logic. That doesn't mean they don't appreciate intelligent conversation. It means their emotional world needs to be acknowledged for them to feel intimacy. So when she tells you about her day and includes the little things, the comment her coworker made, the way the rain made her feel, the stress in her chest, she's not asking you to fix it. She's asking you to enter that emotional space with her. To sit with her in it without judgment, to say, I get that, that makes sense. Sometimes just that is enough. She wants to know that you're present with her in that moment, that you care enough to not just listen for a response, but to listen with the intention of understanding. When a woman doesn't feel heard over time, she starts to shut down. She begins to filter her words, keeping things to herself because she's learned it's easier to be silent than to feel unseen. Her laughter becomes polite. Her stories become shorter, her vulnerability fades, and the connection begins to die quietly, not because there wasn't love, but because there wasn't listening, real listening, the kind where she can pause mid-sentence and still feel your eyes on her, not your phone. The kind where you remember something she said weeks ago because it meant something to her, and by extension, it meant something to you. The kind where her voice doesn't have to fight to be valued, because it already is. That kind of listening doesn't just build trust. It creates emotional safety, the very thing she needs to blossom into her fullest self. There's something deeply unsettling for a woman when she feels like the only time she was truly desired was at the beginning. In the early days, she was chased, adored, pursued with intensity. Every text made her smile. Every effort made her feel important. And then, slowly, something changed. The texts became shorter, the compliments faded, the effort began to feel like a memory. And she starts to wonder, was it all just a game to win her? Was she only valuable when she was a mystery? The truth is, being chosen once feels exciting, but it fades. What a woman truly craves is to be chosen over and over again, even when the chase is over, even when comfort sets in, even when life gets busy and predictable. Jessica Opare says that love is not just a moment, it's a decision made daily. A woman wants to feel like she's not just a chapter in your life that you've already read, but a story you're still excited to explore. She wants to feel like she's still worth the energy, still worth your curiosity, still worth showing up for. Because when the pursuit stops, it's not just the gestures that disappear, it's the feeling of being desired, prioritized, valued. A woman's heart begins to question her place when consistency is replaced by complacency. And she might not say it outright, but she feels it, in the way you stop noticing the details, in how often you forget the small things that once made her smile, in how rarely you initiate the moments that used to come so naturally. When a woman feels consistently chosen, she thrives. It's not about grand romantic gestures or expensive gifts. It's the little things. It's remembering the way she likes her tea. It's choosing to stay off your phone and be fully present during dinner. It's texting her out of the blue just to say, I thought about you. It's pulling her close when she least expects it. It's asking about her dreams like you still care to know where her heart is going. These small actions whisper to her, I still choose you, not just for what you were when I met you, but for who you are becoming. There's something deeply feminine about a woman who feels chosen. Her softness returns. Her laughter is fuller. She walks differently, not because of anything external, but because she feels safe in knowing that love is still alive. But when that reassurance fades, she starts to shrink. Not in stature, but in spirit. She stops showing up fully. She starts withholding the warmth she once gave freely, not out of bitterness, but out of protection, because if she's not being chosen, she'll start to believe she's no longer wanted. And the moment that belief takes root, the connection starts to suffer. She wants to feel like love didn't end when the chase did, but that the chase transformed into devotion, into presence, into a choice that doesn't need excitement to be real. A woman spends most of her life being told to be strong, to toughen up, to not cry too much, not feel too deeply, not depend on anyone. The world rewards her for being composed, controlled, and independent. And while there's power in that strength, it can also become a prison. What she secretly longs for is a space where she can finally breathe, where she can drop the armor and just be. Not because she's weak, but because she's tired of always having to be strong. What she's really craving is the safety to be soft, to express her emotions without judgment, to be vulnerable without feeling like she's too much, to be tender without worrying that it makes her any less worthy. Jessica Opare often says that the right man doesn't just protect her from the world, he protects her from the weight she's been carrying for years. He doesn't expect her to be a warrior all the time. Instead, he becomes the place where she's allowed to rest. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her softness returns naturally. She's not defensive, she's not guarded, she doesn't feel the need to control every little detail. She becomes more open, more nurturing, more present, not because someone asked her to, but because she finally feels like she can let go. This kind of safety isn't about solving her problems or telling her to calm down when she's overwhelmed. It's about holding space. It's when you let her cry without trying to shut it down, when you allow her silence without demanding an explanation, when you meet her emotions with calm rather than criticism. It's when you don't use her vulnerability against her later. It's when you don't mock the parts of her that feel deeply or express freely. When she feels like she doesn't have to hide her anxiety, her fears, her insecurities, that's when her true beauty begins to unfold. That's when she begins to trust not just you, but herself within the relationship. And no, this doesn't mean she wants to be handled delicately all the time. She's not asking to be babied, she's asking to be understood. There's strength in her softness, wisdom in her emotions, depth in her vulnerability. But she can only bring that side of her forward when she doesn't feel like she has to constantly protect herself. So, when she tests you with her emotions, when she tells you something raw, when she shares something personal, when she opens up about her past, she's not trying to overwhelm you. She's watching to see if she's safe. If your response tells her she can be all of who she is, not just the parts that are convenient or pleasant, because a woman doesn't want to feel like she has to be in survival mode with the person she loves. She wants to be able to exhale, to cry on your chest without feeling judged, to express joy and silliness without being told to tone it down, to be herself fully and know that the ground beneath her won't shake. There's something deeply frustrating about opening up only to feel like your words are being dissected instead of understood. For a woman, sharing her thoughts, her feelings, her pain, it isn't always about seeking a solution. More often than not, it's about connection. It's about feeling that someone is willing to sit with her in her emotional space without rushing to fix it or minimize it. That's the difference between being understood and being managed. When a woman expresses herself, she's offering you a glimpse into her inner world. And in those moments, she's not testing your intelligence or your ability to solve problems. She's testing your willingness to hold emotional space without retreating, correcting, or trying to escape the discomfort. Jessica Opare says that emotional connection isn't built in the moments of perfection, it's built in the mess. It's built when a woman feels like her emotions are not inconvenient, when her vulnerability isn't met with silence or solutions, but with empathy. There's a quiet strength in a man who doesn't flinch when she's raw, who doesn't interrupt when she's pouring her truth out, who doesn't try to patch up her feelings with logic or quick advice, because she doesn't want to feel like a problem to be solved. She wants to feel like a person who is safe to be fully known. Sometimes she will cry and not know why. Sometimes she'll talk about something that happened years ago, and it'll still sting like it happened yesterday. Sometimes she'll get quiet, and what she's really hoping is that you'll notice and care enough to ask gently, "Are you okay?" That level of emotional attentiveness builds trust. It tells her without words that you're not just present, you're attuned. You're not trying to skip ahead to the next thing because this moment matters to you as much as it does to her. And yes, it might feel confusing at times, especially if you've been taught that love is about fixing, protecting, doing. But love, real love, is often about being there, being patient, being a witness to the storm, not its controller. She doesn't expect you to have all the answers. What she values far more is your willingness to stay with her in the discomfort. To say, "I hear you. I don't have the words, but I'm here." That sentence alone can calm more storms than the most elaborate advice ever could. Women remember how they feel in the presence of someone. They remember how safe they felt, how seen they felt, how gently their hearts were held. And when a woman feels understood, truly understood, something in her relaxes. She starts to trust more. She starts to share more. She leans in, because in a world that constantly tries to quiet her feelings, the man who chooses to feel with her instead of fixing her becomes more than a partner, he becomes her peace. There's a powerful difference between being looked at and being truly seen. A woman can feel the eyes of many on her, noticing her beauty, admiring her grace, complimenting her presence, and still feel deeply invisible. Because true visibility isn't about admiration. It's not about being desired for what you wear, how you speak, or how you look when you walk into a room. True visibility is about being acknowledged in your entirety, the beauty, the mess, the fear, the strength, the parts you show and the parts you don't. It's about being felt, not just noticed. And when a woman meets someone who sees her in this way, it awakens something within her that she didn't even know was waiting. To be seen means to have someone notice the way your energy shifts before you say a word. It means someone knows the difference between your real smile and the one you put on when you're tired of explaining. It means they remember how your voice softens when you talk about something that matters to you, and they lean in, not just to hear you, but to understand you. And it's rare, because the world has conditioned women to perform to be palatable, likable, effortless. So many women wear masks daily, not because they want to, but because it feels safer than risking rejection for showing who they truly are. But every woman hopes deep down that someone will care enough to look beneath the mask, to not just accept her truth, but want to know it. Because there is nothing more exhausting than constantly presenting a version of yourself that you think others will love while hiding the version that actually needs it the most. So when a man takes the time to observe without judgment, to ask without interrogation, to listen without distraction, he becomes different. He becomes someone she doesn't have to edit herself around. Jessica Opare speaks to this often, the idea that a woman wants more than love. She wants recognition. She wants to feel like her soul is being mirrored back to her by someone who respects it. Someone who doesn't make her feel like she's too much or not enough. Someone who sees her as human, not a project or a fantasy, because when a woman feels seen, she lets go, she softens, she trusts, she loves without holding back, not because she's naive, but because she feels safe. Safe to be expressive, safe to be quiet, safe to evolve. And if you've ever wondered what makes a woman stay, what makes her choose you again and again, even when life gets hard, it's how seen she feels in your presence. Because to a woman, being truly seen is love in its purest form. It's not what you say that stays with her. It's how deeply you looked into her without ever looking away. So, here's the truth. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all the answers. It's about presence, intention, emotional consistency, because the one feeling women truly crave is to feel emotionally safe, to feel like she can be all of herself without fear. And when a man gives her that, he doesn't just win her heart, he wins her peace, her passion, her loyalty, her everything. So don't just love her, make her feel safe enough to love you back fully, fearlessly, freely.